Hey everybody, Bree Newman here. I am an insurance and financial services agent here in the great state of Louisiana. What I do is help families and small business owners get a little bit of a better value on their insurance policy package by better educating them on the options that they have available to them so that they can focus more on the things that matter more to them, like taking care of their families and running their businesses. So, just kind of a continuation on our Back to Basics campaign that we've got going on right now, just to kind of clearly explain the package options that you have available to you in a very clear and understandable way. We are going to just kind of touch a little bit today on how to determine proper limits. Okay, we talked about liability, we talked about assets the other day. We kind of broke down yesterday in a little bit more detail about auto liability specifically. And so today we're going to kind of touch on how to determine what limits are best suited for your specific situation. So kind of a rule of thumb whenever I am working with a client, we are gonna get a little bit personal because your insurance policy package is supposed to be one of the most intimate purchases that you are going to make. It should be a true representation of where you are at this stage in the game with regards to your finances and things like that, because ultimately that is what we're protecting. So just to kind of go ahead and get started, when determining your proper liability limits or anything, whether you're looking at deductibles or whatnot, first we're going to jump into liability because that's kind of where we've been touching on the last couple of days. So just getting started, we have your liability limits, how to determine on the auto policy where your limits need to be. In most instances, the state minimum here in Louisiana is not an appropriate limit for anybody. I've been doing this a very, very long time, and I have never seen one specific situation where the state minimum liability limits have ever been appropriate. So, kind of getting started, whenever, and I'm just put this back, but whenever we are taking a look at liability limits, again, on an auto policy, these are going to be the state minimums at this point in the state of Louisiana. $15,000, $30,000, $25,000. When you pull out your insurance policy package, your $15,000 is going to be medical expenses to anybody per person in the other vehicle. That $30,000 is going to be the maximum that your policy is going to pay out for multiple people in that other vehicle, and then up to $25,000 to repair or replace that vehicle. So you are pulling up to a stop sign or a stoplight, and I'm in the vehicle in front of you. I've got my two children in the vehicle with me. You run into the back of us and push us into oncoming traffic. We are all injured. There's three of us. We are all injured as a result of an accident that you caused. If you have these specific limits, your policy is going to pay up to $15,000 in medical expenses to me and anybody in my vehicle. This also covers rehabilitation costs, lost wages, so on and so forth. $30,000 for the entire accident. There's three of us, so if we all have $25,000 in medical expenses, and that's a really, really low figure, but we all have $25,000 in medical expenses, your policy is still only going to pay out up to $30,000 for the entire accident. Anything over that amount is your responsibility, whether, through liquidating assets or in the state of Louisiana, we touched on this a couple of days ago, but they can garnish up to 25% of your wages. And then up to $25,000 to repair or replace your vehicle. Most vehicles on the road right now, even on the low price point, are going to be more than $25,000 to replace. So just something to consider whenever you are determining your proper limits. You should be working with a licensed, experienced agent to kind of guide you and help you determine proper limits for your specific situation. We are going to, whenever we sit down and review those limits and those options that you have available, we are going to ask all kinds of questions. And if your agent doesn't ask these questions, it's probably a good idea that you become a little bit more aggressive, because you want to make sure that whenever you are paying for a product that it's going to be there when you need it. So they're going to take a look at any equity that you have in your home, possibly a business. They're going to take a look at any equity that you have in your vehicles, toys like ATVs, boats, things like that, any non-retirement investments, CDs, savings, checking, as well as up to 25% of your wages until that judgment has been satisfied. So whenever you're reviewing that, it's a good idea to take a look at what equity you have in those items, what you have financially, and then take away those liabilities that you have, such as like loans or lines of credit, things like that, that would take away from your overall net worth. Then you also want to take into consideration the amount of time that you have left to work before you project that you are going to retire, because just remember that your income is one of the things taken into consideration. They can garnish up to 25% of your wages. You have, with most companies, you have multiple ranges of liability coverage. So it's really important to kind of explore those options. In most instances, it is very, very inexpensive to increase your coverage, or even potentially look at if your net worth is over and above a personal liability umbrella policy. Those are definitely all options that you have available. That liability umbrella policy is kind of an umbrella for anything that you could potentially be personally liable for over and above the coverages that you have on your underlying policies, like your autos or your home or renter's insurance, things like that. So whenever you are taking the time to sit down and do your annual review for your insurance policy package, kind of dig a little bit further, kind of look at where you are versus where you probably should be. If you have any questions, reach out to your personal insurance professional, somebody that is licensed and experienced. If you have any questions or you would like a second opinion on your insurance policy package, always feel free to, if you are on Facebook, shoot me a message at the button above, or on YouTube. My contact information is in the description below. Otherwise, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Thanks.